My next book is going to be groundbreaking. And the reason for that is because it will be almost like an adjunct to anybody who has a serious Bible study on the Antichrist. I open up the novel with, and it's going to be about 90% nonfiction and 10% fiction. But because of the 10% fiction in there, I'm going to call it a novel. It's going to be nonfiction in that the events that Zack Knight took place with, that Zack Knight participated in with my men, like how he seduced me, and all that's going to be real. But I'm going to be going really deep into his soul and as to why he seduced me. And basically, my purpose in writing this book is to educate the world about who the Antichrist is. I tell a lot of people out there that Zack Knight is the Antichrist, and a typical reaction that I'll get is, "Oh, him? Oh, you mean Zack Knight, the singer? Or oh, he looks just like I forget that singer, another singer he claims that he looks like." Zack Knight won't allow people to see what he looks like, and I think it's because that's going to be part of his deception. He doesn't want people to know what he looks like. So I actually drew an artist portrait of him that Brent Spiner told me is what he really looks like. So the cover of my book, Shimmering Skies, Robin Williams from Heaven, has a portrait of Zack Knight that I drew, which Brent told me is very accurate. But this book is groundbreaking. Let me tell you why. A lot of preachers out there, go into big, deep Bible studies about the Antichrist, and somebody at my door. Oh, that's the neighbor. About big, deep Bible studies about the Antichrist, who he is or who he's going to be, what his nationality is going to be, and they're all off. Like Dr. Peter Ruckman thinks he's going to be Syrian, some sort of Middle Eastern blood. And, well, Jesus has already told us who the Antichrist is. It's Zack Knight. But the problem is, I think there are a lot of people. Some Jesuit out there is making noise outside my door. I'm going to just ignore him. I think there are a lot of people that don't believe Zack Knight's the Antichrist. They think, oh, that gal's crazy. Anything she says about Zack Knight just can't, Um, I'm going to show from the Bible that he is. Okay, first of all, in my first chapter, and I'm going to allow the world to see what I wrote in the first chapter, and this is tentative, which means I might change it again. But in my first chapter, I go into the Bible verses that show that the Antichrist will be an American. Daniel 7:4, I believe that is. And what I did, let me tell you something. Before I write a book, or before any writer writes a novel, they have to research their character, to really understand their character, to know that what it is that motivates them, what they dream about, or else their characterization or their portrayal of that character will just be flat. It won't be believable or even be, really horrible. So I thought, what better? Jesus has already told me that Zack Knight's the Antichrist. So I thought, what better place to go to than the Bible to learn about the Antichrist? So that's exactly what I did. And as I was doing my Bible study on the Antichrist, well, I've already read several books about the Antichrist, one by Peter Ruckman, though Jesus tells me that book's not very accurate. And looking through Peter Ruckman's book, he's got a lot of the stuff right about him, but areas where he's off, he's not going to be Syrian. I don't think he's going to have Middle Eastern blood. I believe he's going to be an American. I got that from the Bible. And I also believe from reading the Bible, it appears that the Antichrist is going to use a Russian military to come to power. Now, I know Vladimir Putin would never work with Zack Knight, so apparently it's going to be somebody who comes after Vladimir Putin. So Bible prophecy is pretty fascinating, especially now because the Antichrist is already on the scene. So I thought, you know what, Gail? Jesus has already told you that Zack Knight is the Antichrist. Now go find the Bible verses to back it up. And that's basically my whole first chapter, where Jesus is quoting these verses to Robin Williams in heaven, who got Robin Williams was murdered, and he was strangled by the Jesuits or suffocated. And Jesus is giving Robin Williams an education about the Antichrist. So the whole first chapter, Jesus is reading Bible to him. But what I did is I made a paraphrase of, and you can check the link underneath this video to see what I created. And the whole first chapter is just like, it's like the Bible just comes alive. I found verses to show that he's going to be an American. And what I did, and Jesus will be really upset with me if I didn't get his Bible right. So I made sure to be very, very careful in my interpretations and to not put something in there unless I had a strong biblical basis for what I had to say. I'm claiming that the Antichrist will be an American, that he's going to use Russian military might to come to power, and that he's going to camouflage as a support of the Islamic nations, especially like the Central Asian, Middle Eastern Islamic nations, and he's going to use that to come to worldwide power. The Bible says that he will, and that this person will be Zack Knight. Right now, Zack Knight's trying to come across kind of goofy and silly and flaky, not like the Antichrist. And I believe he's doing this on purpose to make it easier for him when he does decide to take on that role formally. You may say, why is that? Right now, I don't think he wants most of the world to be aware that he is the Antichrist. You see, he's got a problem right now. If people know that, then they know that I'm legit and that I'm not crazy. So his number one goal right now is to get me written off, just totally discredit me. And then once he does that, then he's going to let the world know he's the Antichrist. He's got a problem, a big public relations problem, because I'm exposing him and all the horrible things that he and his Jesuits have been doing. And until that exposure is taken care of, he can't come on the scene and let everybody know he's going to claim to be, like God. Here are some misconceptions that I believe some preachers have about the Antichrist. A lot of people, or Dr. Ruckman believes that when the fake Christ comes on the scene, excuse me, and that he's going to try to come across like Jesus Christ, and everything that he does. But the Bible actually has a little bit different portrayal of the Antichrist. Yes, he's going to claim that he has the authority of Jesus Christ, but I think he will actually encourage Satan worship. And he's going to make Satan look like Jesus Christ. It's kind of like a fine line here. He's going to make Satan look good. He's doing that right now, by the way. The Jesuits are basically Satan worshipers. So my whole first chapter, I'm showing you the verses to back this up. The Bible says he's going to be espousing a strange God that's never been espoused before. He's going to make it that if you don't worship Satan, you're going to die when he comes to power. You're going to have to take a mark on your forehead and on your right hand. Did it ever occur to you when you go to the Mass, you go like this? Or in Ash Wednesday services. I'm not a Catholic, but this is just research I've done. Don't they put like a dot on their forehead and then they do something with their right hand? I mean, come on, folks. How dense do you have to be? Revelation 17 is the Roman Catholic Church. You'd have to be a moron not to see that. See, right now, when you go to my book, I'm going to have Jesus Christ reading the Bible to Robin Williams, and in place of saying Antichrist, he's just going to go out and say Zack Knight. when he's reading the Bible. He says, and Zack Knight will go into the Temple Mount and set up the abomination of desolation. That'll be like a worship of him and Satan. Basically, I'm going to be reading the verses about the Antichrist to help the world understand who he is, how powerful he is, how he's going to come to power, and the deception and the guises that he's going to use. The Bible covers all this stuff. So this is all in my first chapter. So Jesus is going to be reading all this to Robin Williams, and then he's going to say, now I want you to go and let that guy see his end and see if we can get someone else besides Zack Knight to be the Antichrist. So Jesus says, Robin, you know, Zack Knight is the Antichrist right now, but I'm really hoping that we can get through to him, and maybe I can use someone else to fulfill these Bible prophecies. And Robin says, oh no, I don't want to leave my Gail dummy. I'm making love with her in heaven. I'm having a great time. So my book is going to be Robin Williams, a reluctant psychotherapist for Zack Knight. And Zack Knight doesn't want to be there either, but he has to because Satan's getting ready to dump him because he won't give up his love for Rule 13. And this is going to be the whole conflict of the novel, where Zack Knight can be the Antichrist, Satan says, under one condition, that you don't love anybody more than me. So he's not allowed to love. And he says, to make sure this doesn't happen, that you don't allow some woman to mess things up, Zack Knight, I'm going to require you to have sex with about 100 women a day. And it's going to make like sex like, he says, that'll just ensure that no one woman will get your heart and cause you to fail me, Zack Knight. So this whole book, the conflict's going to be where Zack Knight wants to be the perfect Antichrist for Satan, but he has an Achilles heel. He falls in love with Rule 13. And Rule 13 falls in love with him. Okay, Satan gets really upset with Zack Knight about this. He says, you know, Zack Knight, I can't have this. So he goes and talks to Jesus and says, Jesus, I think I need to chuck Zack Knight, and I want to get somebody else as Antichrist because he's not going to do a good job. And I changed my mind. And Jesus says, well, Satan, I'm the one. You don't make the rules. You already decided you wanted to use Zack Knight, and therefore you're going to do it my way. I want you to give Zack a chance. We'll give him some psychotherapy with Robin Williams. So that's what my novel's all about, where Zack Knight is trying to be the perfect Antichrist, trying to keep Satan happy, and yet he's in love with Rule 13. So the whole book is, what choice is he going to make? Is he going to choose Rule 13, or is he going to choose Satan? And the whole book's going to be, it's going to be like a combination of, have you seen the Thornbirds? He's kind of like Ralph de Bricassar, where he has to decide whether he wants ambition or love. And then kind of like Good Will Hunting with the Robin Williams movie, where Robin Williams is a psychotherapist to Good Will Hunting. And Zack Knight's kind of like the Good Will Hunting character. So Zack Knight is going to be playing all sorts of games with Robin Williams, like, oh, you dunce, I don't have to sit here and listen to you. And it's going to be kind of like a combination of Good Will Hunting and the Thornbirds. And then the climax is going to be where Jesus is, I can't tell you. I'll ruin the book. But this is going to be a good book. I can already tell. It's opening up with Bible prophecy to educate the world. A lot of people don't even know who the Antichrist is in the Bible. And then it's going to come to a climax where Zack Knight has to choose between Satan and Rule 13. If he chooses Satan, he goes to eternal doom. And if he chooses Rule 13, Satan will dump him and Jesus Christ will take him. So the whole book is about the climax where he has to decide. And if you want to get a real education about the Antichrist, you got to read this next book. Most people don't even know who he is in Bible prophecy, and most preachers don't get him right. But I think I'm getting him right, and I think Jesus is going to love this book. And I have a blog that I've started. Anybody wants to discuss this stuff with me, I have a writer's blog. Just check the link underneath this video, and we might get into some pretty interesting discussion. And I have a sample of my first chapter. You got to read it. If anybody who's a Bible scholar, check it out, especially if you're interested in last days prophecy.